Hello and welcome back to the next video in the Journal Your Stories series. And today's word prompt is in my own backyard. And so I really took this literally and looked out my back window, and I love sitting on my porch. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I just basically decided I have several stamps. I guess you could say I'm a stamp junkie, but I have a lot of stamps, and so I decided that I would use these stamps in my journal for this page, for this particular prompt. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through the process, and then I'm going to read exactly what I wrote because I actually write off camera, but my process that I'm showing you today is showing you how I use my stamps, and then I also stamped out the words. So that took me quite a bit of time, and so I figured it would be great to just kind of talk about how I described each of the different things that I am talking about in my own backyard. So what's cool about this project, the video prompt or word prompt, is you could use anything. You could use basically like the city you live in. You could talk about literally like what I'm doing is in your own backyard, or things about that. I live really close to, well, I say close, about 15 miles from a state park, and I thought, it is I've only gone there one time, but I do enjoy it and want to go back. So I thought that would be also something that would be you could do that. Like, look, I have this hiking place in my own backyard. So as you can see, I'm basically using stamps that I already have in my stash, and um, I love that little sun that we have the most beautiful sunsets here. So that was the sun that I put in the top right hand corner there. And then of course the bird is actually a cutout from, I think it's a Daphne's Diary. I spent the evening basically cutting up a bunch of things. So I think that actually came out of one of those magazines. And then the chicken stamp that I'm cleaning right now, which I'll talk about those stamps that I'm using, the ink, in just a moment. But me and my sister went to a scrapbook expo, gosh, 2 years ago. I so want to go back. I can't wait for us to be able to get back together where we can go to events like that. We had so much fun. And there's a company that I'm going to make a note to leave their information below. I absolutely love, love, love their stamps. And so I'll definitely leave their information below because they have these ones they call like nubbies or something like that that come on like wooden dowel rods. And oh my goodness, you name it, they have it. Like, just for example, these two chickens that they have. So the barn here is actually from a company. She's on Instagram a lot. Her name is Ty, and so I'll leave her information. She doesn't do stamps anymore, but I absolutely loved getting a few of her stamps here and there. And then the tree stamp is one that I bought again from a local company called Deadbeat Designs, and I absolutely love their um, products. And this tree, if you guys love trees, this tree is like for all seasons. It's great. You can put in the fall, winter, and summer. I've actually made little cards out of the stamp. So I've had it for years and I use it all the time. But going back to the kind of ink that I used, I'm actually bought this Versamark, which is like a chalk ink. I think they come in different types of uh, inks, but I use the chalk. As much as I love the vividness of it, it is so dirty. I mean, it's such a messy ink as far as it makes the stamps get so messy. So I always clean mine. I try to clean them all the time. The letters, I'm really not that great about cleaning them, but definitely have some water handy and a paper towel and things like that to clean your stamps if you do use that Versamark chalk ink. Right now, I'm just basically taking a tag and kind of creating a background using this Distress ink by Tim Holtz. And I was so fortunate. I used to use these all the time, and then I've kind of got away from inks and sprays and things. And then Mandy with Pink Crafty Cottage, she sent me some that her aunt had given her, and I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't used these in so long. And so, actually, if you look to the right on my journaling page that I have right there, I used a lot of those inks on that page for the background. So it is something that I do like to use instead of watercolor. It's kind of the same, but the the inks are very pigmented, so sometimes you have to just be careful how much you use. But so I'm just kind of looking at stickers and trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to document each of these items. And so I'm adding a sticker here that says, "You are my most favorite." So basically, yeah, so I just kind of picked some of my favorite things that I love about things in my backyard that I like to do. And so I had this great paper that was basically kind of like farm air, paper that I from Echo Park that I pulled that sticker from. So I kind of couldn't decide whether I wanted to write out, like do bubble letters, or um, exactly how I wanted to name each of these particular items. And so that's when I decided to pull out my stamps. And I haven't used these letter stamps in a while, although I love using them in any of my journaling and projects. And so I even like using them on my canvases for lettering. So yeah, so basically I'm just going to go through the process of putting in sunsets under this particular one. And what I said about the sunsets is the sunsets from my backyard are breathtaking. I love when the sky has lots of pink. So I don't know what it is about the sky, the sunset in, I think it's in the fall, but they are so gorgeous. They are a real purple pink color, and I just love the fact that I can actually see a sunset from my back porch. So very, very fortunate for that. Um, so yeah, so that was kind of my segment that I wrote um, for the sunsets. And let's see here. This ink I'm using for the stamps is archival ink, and I love it. I bought it at Hobby Lobby. Anytime I have my coupon and I'm in there, I'll pick up the colors. So I have quite a few of these colors, and I use them quite a bit, and they worked really good. So the next thing I talk about was the birds, and I said, "Oh, the birds." I don't know why, but I always think of my grandpa when I see them. We buy food for the feeders to bring them in. So yeah, so sometimes I'll go over there, and this year they don't seem to be hitting some of the feeders as much as they did last year, but definitely try to keep them filled during the winter months. And yeah, my grandpa was a big, he loved hummingbirds. And so anytime I went to his house, they had just, I mean, he would have like 25, 30 hummingbirds all the way around. And so I don't know, birds just remind me of him. And especially when I see a cardinal, they always say that someone that has passed is checking up on you. And I always think about him. So that's one of the reasons that I do love birds and having them come into the yard. And then my chickens. So what I wrote about the chickens, whereas I put the chickens are so entertaining. I love to see them run and how they scratch the ground and then look in hopes of finding something yummy to eat. And they are very entertaining. And I love it when you go let them out there. It's almost like they're just talking to you. And but the unfortunate thing is that predators do love to find the chickens. So we started out with, I think, 12 last year, if I can remember correctly, 12 last spring, and we're down to 4. So yeah, so unfortunately, that's the downfall to having chickens is sometimes they become um, someone, I don't have to go into details about what happens to them. So, but they are so fun, and especially I love to see when they run, and they have their routines down about which directions they go when they first get out of their run and those kind of things, because we let them out pretty much daily. Okay, so the barn, which I've already kind of done the barn stamp, but I put, ah, yes, the barn is my most favorite to look at. Now, going into the hayloft area is a whole different experience. It's dark, and the barn owls are in the rafters. When you walk, the crunch of bones can be heard under, and I didn't put underfoot, but that's what it is. And I put ugh, and I know that's like really kind of gross, but it's pretty much the truth. And then the trees is anyone that knows me knows that trees are my favorite. I love to watch them and change with the seasons. So yeah, so that's basically this is me coming back after I wrote in everything, and I'm just adding some dots. I'm just using regular markers, Crayola markers, nothing spectacular, but just kind of filling in the white spaces with some color. I wanted to keep the trees bare because I went ahead and dated this entry, and this is what I'm looking at right now, which is the bare trees in the backyard. So yeah, so I hope you guys are inspired and take a look at what's in your own backyard, and it can, like I said, it can let your imagination um, roam and see what you guys have. And if it can be anything. So yeah, again, tag me on Instagram or Facebook if you post it, because I would love to see what you guys do. So, all right, well, I will see you in my next video.